You watched the game last night, right?
Yeah, it went about as well as I thought it was going to go.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's just like Notre Dame was just too like they had too many guys that were hurt type thing, and also Ohio State paid $33 million to have the best team in college football, and they started to actually play like they should and stuff like that. And so it's just like, you know, it was looking like it was going to just be an absolute blowout of a game in the first half or whatever. It's like you had a really good drive at the start of the game, and then it was, and then after that it kind of just went. The offense didn't do anything. The defense couldn't get Ohio State off the field, and so they just scored on each of their first 4 possessions a touchdown. So I'm just like, all right, it's 28-7 or whatever, and then they kicked a field goal at the start of the second half, and I'm like, all right, now it's 31-7. Final score ended up being 34-23, but like, it's like, yeah, we had made a comeback or whatever, and they played better in the second half, but it's just like, you just can't put yourself in that much of a hole and expect to win.
Yeah.
Man, but I look back at that game and I'm like, there was a moment in the fourth quarter when you're like, there was like 4 or 5 minutes left, and it's like fourth and goal, and Notre Dame's down 16 or whatever, so it's a 2-possession game because you get the touchdown, you go for 2 points. If you get those and you get that, it's a tie game. And Freeman, like, I understand the thought process of kicking the field goal, because then you don't have to rely on getting the 2-point conversions to tie the game and potentially win the game with 2 more touchdowns. But it's like, you got 4 minutes left, my guy. It's like, it's not a lot of time, especially for the defense that's really struggled to get Ohio State off the field. So it's like, he went for it, just doinked it right off the left upright, and I'm just like, golly, man. If that doesn't signify doom, I don't know what does. So I was just like, man, it could have been it was a much closer game, and I think we made Ohio State shit their pants a little bit because they thought it was just won and over with. But you just got to play better. It's just what happens. So you just got to play better. You can't let him score 4 touchdowns in 4 straight possessions. You can't let Will Howard go 15 for 15 on fucking passing and stuff like that. And offense got to play better. If they're gonna score on all their ones, you got to score as well. You got to get a lot of drives together. Overall, though, I was glad on how they played, though. It didn't feel like it was like I was gonna be like, oh man, we're just gonna get blown out, and this isn't gonna be any fun to watch. And then they started making a comeback. I'm like, okay, they're playing better. They're feeling better. Like they're feeling confident that they can actually win it and stuff like that, or maybe pull a comeback off or whatever. But then it was just like, yeah. Then we missed that field goal, and it's like, oh, all life was gone. And it's just like, I can't help but think, and that field goal is so, like, I've watched Notre Dame all year. And Freeman is always gone for these moments and gone for the touchdown and stuff like that. And it's just like, to kick the field goal there was such a decision I was baffled by. Like, and obviously it's unlikely that they were going to get it. They were like 10 yards out and stuff like that. But it's like, you're down 2 scores. But it's like, I'm still sitting here going just like, you got to go for it, right? No. And I was like, man, it's just so un-Freeman. Like, it's like I don't know. I think if he could do that back, I think he would absolutely go for it. But it was just like,
you think he choked?
No, I don't think he choked. I think he's just like, he made a decision and he went for the one with the highest probability. It's just, it was so unlike him as opposed to all this year, and that's why it's just like, he basically heard it. He just, I don't know. It was just like one of those things where it's just like, I think he saw his archetype of a plan going through and was so convinced on that. So maybe that's all it was. He was just like, oh, we'll get the field goal here, and then we'll, get an onside kick, score, and then get that and score a touchdown or whatever, or kick it to them and stop them on the first set of downs here, and then get the punt and get a touchdown, and then try for an onside kick and. I don't know. It was unlikely. We all knew it was unlikely from that point, but it was, It just sucks. No, now we get to hear about how Ohio State's the greatest thing in the history of the fucking world and everything like that. Notre Dame shouldn't. I hear it all the time whenever Notre Dame loses these big games. They shouldn't be there. They're whatever. They're not good or anything like that. And I'm like, no, they proved that they were good enough to be there. It would have been a better game if it was Penn State. No, it wouldn't have. I'm going to tell you right now, no, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It really would not have. So, like I said, it's nice when you can pay college kids $33 million to come and pool all the things or whatever, because Ohio State's basically doing what Alabama did through the 2010s. We're Alabama. We can be you'll get all the NFL scouts and stuff like that. You're basically destined for the NFL for playing for us, so you might as well come play for us. And they just hoarded all the talent, and that's why they won all those championships.
Fuck.
See, now the NIL is a thing, and it was so bad so that Nick Saban, legendary coach for Alabama, Nick Saban said, "Fuck this, I'm done," because the NIL is just a piece of shit. Because now it's like, oh, we don't really feel the need to pay college kids millions of dollars to come play for us and hoard all the wealth. So basically, Ohio State says, "Oh, we'll just do that then." Same thing with all their coaching staff. It's like you hired Chip Kelly or whatever to run an offense of stacked guys. The same thing with the defense. You brought in a new defensive coordinator. Same time the NIL started to run the best defenders out there, and all paying them at least probably $1 million each of all the main guys.
I mean, that's if you want the best players, that's the way to do it.
Yep. And that's how it will continue to be. And I'm not trying to shit on the NIL for that. It's just like I'm shitting on the NCAA for not putting any rules or regulations behind it. I think, and this is obviously a topic in and of itself, whether or not college kids should be, paid for, playing college sports or whatever. It's always been a thing for tale as old as time, pretty much. But
they should.
And
I mean, that's my position. Like, if colleges and the NCAA are making money off of that you have the right to also make money off of your likeness. If they're going to say, "Oh, watch this," whatever. I don't want to use Will Howard as the example because he's a mama's boy, but it is just like, but yeah, it's like if Will Howard wants to, make money off of his likeness, and because Ohio State and the NCAA are using it, it's like he should. So, but it's like if you're going to do that, you should put some rules and regulations behind it instead of just throwing it buck wild and then everyone complaining about it, because that's what's happening. And the funny thing is nothing's going to change either. No.
The NCAA loves this. They love guys sitting out for in the bowl games or whatever that don't matter because guys are either transferring during bowl season, when the big games are happening like that. There was I think it was some Miami team or whatever pulled out of their bowl game because they didn't have a quarterback on the roster. There was not a single quarterback on the roster because they all transferred away. And they got fined $500,000 for not playing in the bowl game because they didn't have a quarterback and didn't want to play.
Holy shit.
Because, like I said, it was because the NIL was half thought out and half baked. Because how the transfer portal works is that you have to put your name in this pool of names, basically, that schools can reach out to, saying, "Hey, I want to transfer," type thing. So then schools can reach out to the player to talk to them to get them to come to their school, type deal. And what happens is that starts before bowl season starts. So when guys want to transfer, they basically say, "Oh, I'm not going to be playing for this team anymore. I'm going to go play for somebody else. So you guys are kind of screwed for the bowl game without me because I'm no longer on the team anymore."
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and so that's why a lot of people over this offseason have said now that we have the 12-man playoff thing or whatever, and the national championship goes deep into January now. That the portal should be pushed back till after that, or at least before, like probably just before the national championship. So that way, that's the cutoff date to put your name in. So that way, people can still play in bowl games, while if they still want to transfer as well. That's what it should be. But we're the NCAA. We don't give a shit. We get the money. That's all that matters.
Such a profitable industry, you would think it would.
You think they would think about all the organizations that cause them to make all the monies and stuff like that? That about the colleges that have all these student athletes that are, there not to necessarily play football, but they do play football or other sports, because it's not just football. It's also basketball. It's also hockey and everything else. Even though football is the main one that everyone will always look at, but it's like basketball is feeling it too. Nah, we're the NCAA. We don't care.
No, yeah.
We got the money, baby. That's all that matters. Woo! I love sports. And people is like, are you sure you're a sports fan? I'm like, no. Actually, honestly, I don't know.
I've gone back and forth many times since high school.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like this year basketball. It's like I just don't give a shit. It's like NBA. It's like the Bucks are on and off good basically, and it's like the Badgers are like okay and stuff like that. But I'm just like I just do not care about basketball this year. Usually I'll get into it at some point. And maybe now that football is actually over now and stuff, or at least colleges and stuff like that. Maybe then I'll get into it more, but.
Has it really been that bad this year?
No, it's not been that bad. It's just I just haven't had any interest in it.
I
don't know.
I remember the Bucks were going wild for a while, and they were basically on everyone's radar. But
the Bucks went from like very underperforming to they won the NBA Cup, which is like their in-season tournament basically, and then that kind of turned things around a little bit, but now they're kind of back to like, oh, we win like 2, we lose like 2, then we win 2, and then we lose 2, then we win 3, we lose 4, and it's just like, ugh. So we're pretty much staying around a 50-50 team, and I'm like, well, that'll probably get you in the playoffs, considering there's 12 teams that get in the playoffs. Well, I should say 12 teams. If you finish the 8-9 seed, no, the 9-10 seed. And the 11 and 12 seed, you have a play-in. That they call it a play-in. So you have to beat the teams to get in, basically. But they should finish higher than that. I don't know where they're sitting at in the standings now, but I know they're not that low.
There's that at least.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, when almost half the teams in the NBA get into the playoffs. Got to be bad not to. And you wonder why the NBA wonders why there's nobody's watching games. Oh man. No, it's the classic thing where it's like, oh, the numbers will probably be down during the regular season, but once the playoffs start, they'll probably see a general increase, or at least toward the end of the season. Yeah, why watch the NBA? We got LeBron at the Ohio State Notre Dame game. Got him at the national championship. God, I hate that. No. Anyways,
I don't know shit about LeBron. Is he still popular? I guess.
I mean, yeah, he's still one of the faces of the NBA, despite being almost 40, and probably on one of his last few seasons, if not his last season.
Feels weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know shit about LeBron outside of the Looney Tunes movie that he was in.
What, you don't know him from the memes of LeBron James? The little kid that just goes LeBron James?
I would say I know him from Shaq Fu, but that's Shaq and not LeBron.
Yeah, you're right. Who's a more iconic NBA face in your name, Shaq or LeBron?
Shaq.
How about
Shaq
Michael
Shaq
Jordan
Fu.
and Shaq?
Michael Jordan. He was in not Looney Tunes.
He was the original Space Jam.
Yeah. He was in the good one, and then Shaq was in the... No, not Shaq. LeBron was in the bad one.
Dude, LeBron gets to play with his kid.
Yeah. And it was terrible.
Yeah, he is terrible. He's been up and down in the NBA G League for basically, and he's getting the prima donna treatment where he doesn't have to go on road games.
I thought we were still talking about Looney Tunes, but yeah, you're right.
I never saw the second fucking Space Jam or whatever.
That's good. You probably shouldn't.
Oh, trust me, I had no desire to or want. It's like got that. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are buying up all the players. So I'm just like, buying up all the players. They're being the 1990 Yankees, where they just bought up all the talent and won all the championships. And then everyone hated them because now they've become supervillains.
Well, all right then.
Yeah, it's great. You know, the Dodgers only have $1 billion. What was it? $1 billion and 200 million in deferrals over all money that they'll pay over the next like 30 years to the players rather than paying them now. So that way they're way over the luxury tax. So the owner then has to pay, extra money to the league as a result of being way over the luxury. But we'll get around that by just paying guys for the next like 50 years. So remember when I said supervillain status? Supervillain status.
Jesus.
You remember Shohei Ohtani? You know, the face of baseball, basically. Yeah, he's being paid $2 million this year, but his contract is worth $700 million. Yes, that's right. He's going to be by the time he's 50 like 50 or 60 years old, he'll have for $700 million.
Wow.
Look, I'm saying that
Sweet Jesus.
Right now, like the Mets just signed Juan Soto to a $765 million deal. None of it's deferred, but I'm telling right now that the Mets have a famous day devoted to them, which they call the Bobby Bonilla Day, which is the day that they pay Bobby Bonilla like $1.5 million or something like that because of his contract he negotiated like a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they could have had the Juan Soto Day and the Bobby Bonilla Day. Just saying. Made a holiday. It would have been great.
Making a holiday of paying someone multiple millions of dollars.
Yeah, from their multi-million dollar owner that still believes that they need state money to get stadium mades, stadium upgrades and stuff.
They need state money in order to build a stadium, so they can pay these people hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, but they're broke. Remember that? That's why.
Dude, the U.S. economy is the worst.
Capitalism, baby. Gotta love it.
I hate to harp on this, but it's like, can you even imagine trying to spend $700 million?
No, absolutely fucking not.
If you gave me half of that and said, okay, do whatever the fuck you want, I don't think I could spend that much in my lifetime if I tried.
Oh, then there's
$700 million.
Well, you're gonna love this Yahoo Sports like thingy my brother showed me or whatever. It was just like something about like Cam Newton couldn't afford to like feed his like 20 kids that he's had over his like lifetime. Basically, I want to point out he's not that much older than myself, and he has 20 kids. Yes, you heard that correctly. But you know what? But guess what? He can't afford to feed his kids because he was only paid $133 million from the NFL. Oh no!
I mean, the obvious solution is don't have 20 plus kids.
Also, how the fuck can you not feed 20 kids on $133 million you got in the NFL?
I don't
then
know.
You're also on fucking analyst stuff on ESPN. Like, you're getting paid to talk about sports on ESPN, and you're telling me you still can't afford that? Come on. I just saw that, and I was just like, oh, no. Oh, poor Cam Newton. Oh, no. Oh, jeez. Anyway. Anyway, so let's talk about something that's not what we're talking about.
That's something that's not ultra depressing like that. Yeah, sure.
Switch 2. Let's talk about that because we haven't talked about that yet.
Didn't we talk about the Switch 2 last week?
No, we talked about the potentiality of there being a Switch 2. Now it was actually happened.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you think?
What about it do you want to talk about?
That it's launching with Mario Kart 9?
Okay. I mean, apparently, like, its whole new big thing is that it can have, like, 24 racers instead of 12, which is... Okay, sure, why not? Can we just
More shenanigans?
Can we combine those two? Get a fucking Double Dash mode, please? I know we discussed that last week.
That's true, we did.
But it's like, yeah, it has the magnetic Joy-Cons. It's going to have a bigger, nicer screen. Play all your Switch games.
Are you ready for the little like prongs on the side to break so that way you connect your Switch controllers to the side?
Here's the fucking thing. I am one of the rare people that I think will never have to deal with that because and I mean the day that I got my Switch, I got a Pro controller because I hated playing the Switch in its like normal base mode.
Yep, hard agree.
I feel like
hard agree.
I feel like even if I got a Steam Deck, I'd be annoyed with the way that would handle. Let alone like the base Switch. So it's like, you know what? I'll get like a mobile stand. Well, its mobile stand is better than the Switch's mobile stand. Yeah. So I'll probably just buy a controller, play Mario Kart that way on the go.
Do they say if the Pro controllers that are currently with the Switch, do those work for the Switch too?
They have not said. Apparently, we're not gonna. Apparently, the release date is between April and September, which is
they have a direct on like April 2nd, so...
Yeah, so I'm guessing that's when we're going to have more information on it, but...
Yeah. I'd be curious to know if the Pro controllers for the Switch just work for the Switch too. I mean, especially the wireless ones. I'd have to believe so, right?
I'd have to believe so, but I'm willing to bet that they're also going to come up with a new, like, different type of Pro controllers for the Switch too. Embrace whatever.
You could have like the nicer ones or whatever. Like you could have like the
have a nicer one, but also have like the older ones still work.
Yeah,
what I'm willing to bet is going to happen. Obviously, that won't work for the old Joy-Cons, but
oh no, absolutely not. But I was like the idea of having like a what is like the like Elite Series Pro controllers or something like that. That'd be kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe.
Aside from that, there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, it really wasn't anything.
Is the issue. Yeah.
Basically,
it came out. It happened. It exists. They came out. They said it exists, and said, just have to wait to find out more.
It exists. It's real, and it's exactly what we thought it was. It's basically just an upgrade for the current Switch.
Which is a little disappointing. I always like it best when Nintendo is trying new things. Like, I get they had a real big success with the Switch, and they just want to follow that up by doing another one. But it always feels like whenever they've made a console, they've always tried something new. Obviously, like the Wii U was a worse version of the Switch in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
And, but, like, you go from, like, the GameCube to the Wii, it's like that was a completely whole different thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Then from the Wii to the Wii U, then from the Wii U to the Switch. I don't know. I wish they would have. I think
Nintendo just found their console that they wanted to make for the longest time. Like it combines the Game Boy Advance with just like their console games. So it's just the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the according to leakers leaked price for the Switch 2?
I heard it was going to be like $400, right?
It's like 400. I think it was like 450, or I think it was 450, and then there was like a combo thing that you could get for just with Mario Kart 9 for like 500.
Okay.
I mean, for that price, I would hope that the hardware is a lot better than the current Switch.
Obviously, right? But
it's got to be, right?
If the rumors we heard are true, and again, this is a big if it can run like FF7 Remake and Red Dead Redemption 2 smoothly, if it has that sort of tech in there, it's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
and has like the OLED screen and all that other bullshit, like if it literally has all of that, then sure, I'm okay paying $500 for that, I guess. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm not going the route of the fucking PS5 Pro and asking $800 for it. So that's nice. I guess.
That is the thing. It's like when the Switch 2 comes out and it is really good and runs all that. It's like, are Sony and Microsoft going to even want to try and make their own like
Switch 2 competitor?
Competitor, I guess. Yeah. It's hard. It's tough.
For Sony, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a while before Sony even considers doing something like that. I do anticipate. I actually am not sure. Sony's. We can talk about it later, but Sony's doing a lot of weird stuff. They're in a bad spot right now. But for Xbox, I can easily see them being like, it's a mobile Game Pass machine. Sure, like a couple people will buy it.
I feel like more likely they're just going to do what they originally said they were going to do, is just put Halo on everything and stuff like that. Like they're going to put all their games on the Game Pass and everything like that on like Switch 2 and PlayStation and whatnot. Like,
yeah.
Why make your own console when you can just like, hey, here's the Game Pass?
Well, that's the rumor, right? It's like we've been hearing for over a year now that Microsoft's been working on a new console that they want to launch either this or next year.
Yeah.
And if it's a mobile console meant to compete with the Switch, I'm guessing it is just going to be like a mobile Game Pass machine, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, it'd feel weird just for Microsoft to be like, yeah, everything's coming out day one to everything during the year where they have the most games coming out under their umbrella.
Yeah.
It's
well, that'll be good.
a move, I guess.
That'll be like that. Then people will want to subscribe to the Game Pass, then, right?
Well, like it would work if if Microsoft can convince Nintendo and Sony to put the Game Pass on their consoles, then yeah. If they're just selling them on on like competing consoles, it's like, well, why do I? It's like I feel like that wouldn't encourage anybody to buy a PC or a Xbox for Game Pass.
I mean, it's just like you play how you want to play at that point, right?
I mean, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, if that's their strategy, it's like we're gonna put these games on other consoles to get more Game Pass subscribers. That feels like a weird way of doing it.
Yeah.
If it's just for money, it is what it is. But if it's a weird move to promote Game Pass, I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah. I was just thinking. I'm like, so they probably don't like if they did that. I'm like, it's like do you make controller like do you just like stop like okay we're done with like Xbox Series X or whatever is just like where we're at and stuff like that. We don't make any more Xboxes, but we like still make controllers or something like that because like Xbox is still known for like their controller game.
Here's the thing: I still do believe that they're going to make hardware.
Despite, I have to believe so, right?
Yeah. The problem is that we are not in an age where it's like everyone is just streaming everything. Like they can just stream Game Pass straight to their TV or whatever. So I think at least a very small sense, Microsoft is going to keep making, hardware like consoles of some sort. I'm like willing to put money on the fact that they're going to be all digital. But I can't see them backing like completely out of the console business.
Yeah.
Because it's generating just enough money for them to continue doing that. I could see them rolling it back, like not producing them nearly as much as they did like the Series or the Xbox One, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. Basically every gaming company other than Nintendo is in a really weird spot right now.
That's true.
Yep, because basically Xbox has no idea what their own strategy is.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out what if they're going to launch a new console, what it's going to be, or what the fuck they're doing with any of their games or studios. According to Phil Spencer, if that's all to be believed, everything's going great, and we don't need to worry about Xbox as a brand. So it's like, okay, cool, whatever. What exactly are you guys doing? So then Sony's all over the fucking place.
Sony's just canceling games left and right. The Horizon MMO that we talked about last week apparently has been canceled.
Wasn't that supposed to launch this year? They're canceling
it? They've canceled it. It's been done.
I thought it was really funny because when they announced all these cancellations, Ben came out and was like, "Wait, you're canceling our game? I didn't realize our game was canceled."
Great communication. Yeah, I just saw that. I just saw that on Reddit this morning, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, it actually happened." That's funny.
Apparently, they were also working on a God of War live service game somehow.
Also, is canceled.
So does that mean basically every studio at Sony is just back at square one right now?
No, I think that they realized that after the rousing failure that was Concord, they realized maybe we don't care about the MMO / like live service stuff.
Didn't we read not too long ago that they're still all in on those live service?
Yeah,
games,
I think that they probably looked at their wallets or whatever, and they said, "This is feeling real light." I'm like, yeah, it's because we sank $400 million into Concord, and then we gave all the money back because it was so bad.
I don't even know what's going on. Aside from Wolverine, I don't know a single Sony game that's coming out or being worked on right now.
What about Ghost of Yotai?
I mean, sure.
Honestly, I don't think I could name a single one after that.
Yeah.
I guess Naughty Dog's working on that one game that they showed off during the Game Awards.
Yeah, whatever that
one was called again, I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Did they even have a name for it? I honestly don't remember.
I think it's Intergalactic or something like that.
Something like that. That sounds right. So
I don't know, dude. Both Sony and Xbox are in a weird spot right now.
It's like they forgot how. It's crazy to me that in the past, like, it feels like 5 years, they've forgotten how to make video games.
Yeah.
It's
I read
like
this article recently where it's like, breaking news: Halo Studios is working on a new Halo game.
Cool.
I would have never guessed.
Who would have thought that? You mean Halo? The Halo Studios making Halo? Whoa! Big news.
Fucking crazy. Oh my god.
I know, right? That's why I was just like, I just like, it feels like, for the past 5 years, like, Sony's just like, oh yeah, we've had all these great games or whatever, and then they looked back and they're like, wait, now what are all you fuckers doing now? Well, I don't know, we kind of did the thing we wanted to do, so we're kind of just chilling now. I'm like, no, make more. And I'm like, okay, what do you want us to make? I don't know, something.
Live service DLC skin packs video game.
Make this the game that's gonna be bigger than the next Star Wars and Concord. Let's do all these live service games and then cancel them 2 years later.
Take Horizon and take Last of Us and take God of War and make them MMOs and live service games.
Oh, and while we're at it, we're gonna go buy Bungie and then get Destiny 2, and then just stop development on Destiny 2 to then work on Marathon, which we still don't know what the fuck's going on with that.
At first, that was a battle royale. Then it was an extraction shooter, and now it's a hero shooter.
And now we don't know what it is.
No, yep.
And now it's who the fuck knows?
I thought it was really funny.
It could be a walking simulator for all I care.
When that first trailer came out, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, a year and a half max. That game's coming out." They don't even know what fucking genre it is. They don't know if it's fucking third person or first person. That game is still probably a good 3-4 years away. It is absolutely insane.
Oh, absolutely.
What an absolute waste of talent.
Ugh. What a waste of a great studio too in Bungie.
Yeah.
It sucks. Dude, speaking of studios that actually confirm something's alive, Hollow Knight Silksong is apparently alive and well.
Sure, why not? They're like, oh yeah, it's still we're still working on it.
We're making good progress.
And it will release.
Yep.
When we don't know.
Apparently, it's still alive because everyone was freaking out that it was like, oh, it's been canceled. They're shutting it down. Everything, it's gone. We're never getting it type thing. And then they're like, no, we're still here. Trust me. It's like, all right, can you guys not take like 10 years to make the next Hollow Knight game? That'd be great.
We're in the worst timeline right now. Just everything else. The whole gaming industry right now is such a fucking shit show, dude. It is absolutely insane. Like, it is so bad on all fronts. It's like, oh, well, Nintendo's doing okay. You know, they got the Switch 2 coming and Mario Kart 9.
We're over here just chilling, bro.
They're just doing their own thing. They're fine.
They're just chilling, bro. It's whatever. It's fine.
Meanwhile, at the fucking Sony and Xbox offices, everything is on fire all of the time, and nobody understands why.
I'd like to think that Nintendo is just the dog that's sitting there while the rest of the room is on fire, and you go, this is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that's a good analogy for it.
It's not even their house.
It's not even their house. They just let Nintendo in to like have a cup of coffee, and he's just like the rest of it's on fire, and he goes, yeah, this is fine.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to affect me at all. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, who gives a fuck? I don't know. Fine. Oh man, good time. I just like how it's like a whole thing where it's just like, oh yeah, we're making good strides for Silksong, and I'm just like, okay, so you got nothing to show off then? That's what I'm hearing. Damn. Team Cherry, I really want to believe, but just saying that it's like, hey, we're all good. Not really the vote of confidence that I was kind of hoping it'd be.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll just wait for Slay the Spire 2.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, you know, it's fine. We'll go Slay the Spire 2 into something and everything like that. Maybe this will be the year that I work on the backlog.
I don't know. There's enough new stuff coming out that has me excited.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't hate the games industry. It's just I wish I could have more confidence in these companies, but it seems every news report I hear about them, it's just everything's burning. Nobody knows what they're doing. None of the developers know what even game they're making anymore.
It's true. Kind of feels
such
like that, don't it?
There's such a lack of direction, and it's fucking crazy, dude. It is absolutely insane. But hey, video games, that's fun. Did you hear that report coming out about how some people a lot of these developers or publishers, I should be saying, are hoping that GTA 6 is $100 so they can start charging $100.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, game. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. They absolutely are hoping for that.
I really hope Rockstar resists the urge, because I know they can get away with it, and that makes me very upset. The thing is, though, I feel like we talked about this last week too. But I feel like if a lot of games went up to like $100 for a single video game, less and less people would stop buying AAA releases on launch.
They're doing basically what what I feel like movie theaters have been doing for the longest time, not making movies like less. I know people always talk about how going to the movies is so expensive, because it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just like, oh yeah, going to the movies is so expensive, and it's like, but imagine it wasn't super expensive, and that like going going to the movies wasn't like, I was going to spend $100 just to go watch a movie and, have some popcorn at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think more people would go to the movies, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. But they don't want to do that because what they would rather do is just leech off the people that go there every like week and stuff like that, rather than trying to bring in more people to go watch more movies to fill up the theaters more often. But no. So gaming's just kind of doing that same thing where it's just like, oh, we know these suckers are just going to buy the games or whatever, so it's just like we're just going to keep going with it.
Well, if that was the case, then why do they need to use GTA 6 as an excuse? If they feel like these people are just going to buy the games anyway, why?
Because they need a
wouldn't they just-
rousing success to continue to continue people to say like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. That's why, in my opinion.
I would hope that people are smarter than that, but I know that they're not.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Ain't it wonderful?
No. I hate this. I hate how so often I can just look at something being like, oh, well, no one's going to go for that. Obviously, that's a stupid idea. People are going to recognize this for what it is, and that's never the case. I hate that.
Never. You always try and think it might be, but it's not.
Well, how about you? You already don't pay for a AAA game, new AAA games that much. Say
If they
out
go up
with-
to 100, fuck that.
say the next last part of Final Fantasy VII remake comes out. They price it at $100. Are you gonna buy it? Yes or no?
I mean, considering I still haven't played Rebirth, probably not.
Okay, Forspoken 2 then.
I mean, that's never happened. Probably not. It's like I would
Is there
buy
a single AAA game that would come out that you would willingly pay $100
a
for?
third Shadow of game. 100%. I'm down for it. I bought the collector's edition, or not the collector's edition, the deluxe edition. Like, I pre-ordered that shit because I was so fucking excited for Shadow of War. I built a whole PC just to play it.
Good God.
And also, I just wanted a good PC that could actually play games.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to think, is there a game that I would pay $100+ for just to get access to it?
Probably not, honestly. In reality, I probably wouldn't.
Alan Wake 3, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's always,
that's-
always that.
That's Remedy though. They get different treatment from everyone else. I'm willing to admit that.
So that's always the thing the thing, right? It was like, it's like, oh, we never play $6, but then we always have oh, but you got this though. It's like, oh, there's always that one studio that is just like, nah, for this studio, I'll do anything for him.
And that's where I think they got us, is the problem.
Absolutely, that is that. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying it's a thing.
Oh well.
It's like, would I realistically say if Kingdom Hearts 4 came out this year and it was like, oh yeah, it's $100, would I buy it? Probably not.
Okay, that's good at least.
Probably not. It's like while I do thoroughly enjoy Kingdom Hearts, I just go, nah. Just couldn't convince myself.
There's got to be that breaking point,
Yeah.
It's like people can, as is, only afford a few games a year. If they keep getting more expensive, then it's going to be a damn problem.
It will be.
That's why I think I'm hopeful that we'll see more of a resurgence of the AA market.
Yeah. Or just maybe start seeing some AAA. I mean, we talked about this, but it's like, so you start seeing some AAA studios making not so much just giant, massive games, and just make like more like AA games on top of their AAA games. Like they have teams set aside to just make smaller versions of games that are cost less to bring in some revenue to then supplement their big games. But we'll see if that happens.
I mean, we kind of saw Obsidian do that when they released Pentiment.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
It's like, sure, they got 2 big AAA games dropping this year, but absolutely nobody expected them to release this one. Can we talk about something happy for a change? This podcast has been really depressing.
Yeah, I'm not wrong. Dude, you excited for Flesh and Blood tournament?
Eh.
Eh.
I'm excited, yeah, but
You excited to play some Flesh and Blood?
yeah.
Yeah. I still thoroughly enjoy that. I still thoroughly enjoy it in the Flesh and Blood. I still think it is by far like my favorite card game I've ever played. I played a lot of them.
Yeah.
I even tried fucking Lorcana with my cousins.
How did that go?
It's weird. That's really the best way to describe it. It's weird. I've played the Final Fantasy TCG. I've played Magic the Gathering. I've played Lorcana. I've played Pokemon. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh. I've played pretty much every card game you can think of other than the fucking Star Wars game. And it's just like, and I'm just like, Flesh and Blood feels like the one that's the most fun. Although I will say, LSS, god damn, could you just bring down some of the prices of these cards and just print them at lower rarities? Good lord.
The problem is that the game is still so new and not enough people have adopted it yet. So
but the fact is, they're
singles are going to be
reprinting
crazy.
They're reprinting one of the most iconic cards in Command and Conquer in the next set, and they put it at the highest rarity that you possibly can. And I'm like, come on.
That's why I have no problem using proxies.
Yeah.
I'm not paying that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, that's why I tell you guys, I'm like, I really do not care if like when we play this, it's like if you just proxy an entire deck, it's like some of the cards are just ridiculously priced, and the Hunted is going to be going to be one of those sets where it's like all the really big chase cards are all printed at the Majestic Rare, which is basically ultra rare, and it's like, yeah, they're going to be pricey, and you're going to probably want to run 3 of, and I'm just like, fuck. Yeah, if there's one thing I would say is just like, especially like some generic like equipment staples and stuff like that, like Tunic and stuff like that, should not be like $120. Command and Conquer should not be $80 a pop. It's a good card. It's a great card, but
Yeah.
it does not need to be that expensive. Same thing with like some of the other like generic staples. Like there was one that came out and Part the Misfail that are like it's like Weakest Link. It's like a $60 card. It's really good. It's 2 for 6 that if it hits you, look at your opponent's hand, then you get rid of one of their instants. But it's like,
I mean, that's the case with basically every board game or card game, right? Where if a card is really good, it's going to be overpriced. Yu-Gi-Oh has had that issue for years now, where if a card comes out in the current meta and it's even slightly useful, it's like, yeah, it's going to be priced at like $60, $80+ for a single copy.
But here's where I'm going to give it to Yu-Gi-Oh! For one instance here. I'm going to say it right now. Is that the cards that are generally good, while Ash Blossom started out really expensive because of its limited printing and wantability and stuff like that for the hand traps and stuff like that, they have reduced it in price by reprinting it a bunch of times, while it's still being a staple in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! That any deck can run and stuff like that. While there are, like you said, there are those examples where a new card comes out, it's really big in the meta, but normally it's for a specific archetype though, whereas in Flesh and Blood it's like these are generic staples that like every deck runs Command and Conquer, like every competitive deck will run Command and Conquer, and like that's why it's like if people want to get into the competitive scene, like you would need it.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with Yu-Gi-Oh though is like in like Magic and in Flesh and Blood, there are these cards that are just universally good and basically every person needs to own. With Yu-Gi-Oh, it feels like every year, every couple months, there's a completely new meta where there's this new archetype with their own specific cards, and like if you want to win tournaments, you need that archetype. And well, Ash Blossom is a good example. There aren't a lot of cards like Ash Blossom, so even if they reprint them a bunch, it's like, well, there is this one card that this one archetype needs in order to be competitive. And since you're going to want to compete with it, you need 3 copies of it. So they've easily just right there milked like between like $200 to $300 from you just for a single playset of these.
Oh yeah,
of this one card.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's just like, but I still think that Yu-Gi-Oh, when it comes to generic
in terms
staples,
of reprintings and like generic staples like that,
to the collector's chagrin, basically, like to just like say like, oh well, we want these like high rarity cards that are cost a lot because our collectors want them and stuff like that, and sell them and stuff. It's like, but we also want the cards to be played and for people to enjoy them and not to spend like hundreds of dollars to get playsets.
Well, then they shouldn't print them at exclusively such a high rarity. Like, if I understand the higher rarity ones being costing more, but if you're only going to print these like really good cards as secret rares,
and this is where I think that how you've seen some card games like Magic is kind of doing this right now as well, is where they're having like different versions of the cards, like alternate arts and stuff like that, extended arts and stuff like that.
Exactly. Thank you.
So that's where I think this kind of comes into play. It's like, and I think LSS really missed a major thing that they could have done with Command and Conquer. They do have like really cool full art promos and stuff like that, but like for the original Command and Conquer that are really expensive and stuff like that. Like I think it's $800 for just one of those promos.
Jesus.
And stuff like that. But it's like, but in theory, what they should have done with this printing of Command and Conquer is you could have had the normal version of it, like the base version of it, been at a lower rarity, and then at the legend rarity you could have had an alternate art or an extended art type deal with it. And it kind of feels like they missed the mark, and it really sucks.
Well, we'll see where things go. They still have time to, improve on these things because Flesh and Blood still is a relatively, especially a comparatively new card game.
Oh yeah, it's like I think it's just like I think it's like 5 years old this year or something like that, or maybe it was last year. Can't remember if it was like 29. I think it was 2019 when the game first started.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still pretty early on, but I feel like it's just like. The thing is to get people into, growing a game like this is that you need to have these staples that like people are always going to want to play in. Either one of two things either needs to happen. They either need to go into Living Legend basically, which I don't think they'll do. Like imagine like Tunic and like I don't know, Crown of Providence go into Living Legend. Like that'd be huge, and I think a lot of people would be very mad if they did so.
Yeah.
So the other solution is then to reprint it at what you'd hope to be lower ones or whatever, or increase the pull rate of those higher rarities. It's what it comes down to, because then if there's more cards out there, it'll meet the demand, so that way it's not as expensive.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think now that they have like their armory like decks or whatever, which are like their pre-constructed like decks or whatever, it's like we might start seeing some more stuff there that might help out a lot. But I was just looking because I was like, oh, it was like maybe I want to make a ninja deck or whatever. But it's like, oh, Masco Amendum is like a really good equipment piece. You can't find a copy of it for less than $80. And I'm just like, damn. And it only got reprint. It only got printings in 2 sets. It's like, damn. I hope eventually they do like just like a remaster of Welcome to Wraith.
Yeah.
Like, because it was just like, oh, that was the first set they put out or whatever. So it's like, let's just remaster it, because a lot of people that are now playing the game weren't around for the first set. With that being said, I'm still excited for the Hunted.
Yeah.
I think the set is really cool.
Yeah.
I think the set is really cool and really interesting. I think the dagger shit is bonkers and may or may not be a problem with Syndra, but not Syndra. Yeah, it's Syndra. But we'll see. Fang feels kind of weak, but I might just be missing something. The Arachne is nutty, and I'll be interested to see if he's viable in any way. I'd have to believe so.
I don't know. Jury's kind of out on that one because he's just so
weird. Like that's the thing is, it's like, oh, you can transform into 6 different versions of himself when you hit him, like, and it's random. So you don't. There is a card where it's like, oh, if you pitch it, you can choose, but it's just like, ugh. Yeah, it's random, so it's like you might not get what you're hoping for or looking for. But it's the mask. That's right. Yeah, Arachne got a new mask where it allows you to transform into a different chaos thing or whatever. I do hope for the next set though they go into Rangers again. It's like,
you think so?
I hope so. I think like Riptide's kind of a anti-meta in a way deck where he's not particularly that great, but if you know how to play him, he's actually pretty good. Azalea doesn't feel that great in the current meta, despite really high Living Legends points. And I think she's still very strong. It's just not very good into the current meta right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I do want to see if they give more Ranger support and more Ranger heroes, considering those are the only 2 Ranger heroes that are currently in Classic Constructed. It's like, it would be nice to get another couple. So we got a bunch of Ruined Blade support from Rosetta, along with Wizards. Brutes could be another one that I think they might get into, but I think with the KO deck they just released, I think it's probably fine.
Mm.
Then again, it's Levia and Rhinar.
That Syndra is nutty.
Syndra is kind of crazy. I would say Illusionist, but we don't need to go into Illusionist. Illusionist is one of those classes I feel like whenever people see it, it's just like you dread it because it's like right now it's like it's either Enigma or Prism in Classic Constructed, and if you look at it in recent past or whatever, it's like, oh, that was also Dromai not that long ago, and it's like Dromai was really good. I will be curious though with Syndra actually being a thing now, because now there's another royal draconic hero. Is Tome of Imperial Flame going to be too strong? Because that was one of the few draw 2s that they didn't ban in the most recent bans, because no hero in Classic Constructed could take advantage of it. But now Syndra is the thing, and even Fang can also do it. I forgot he's also Royal Draconic. Ugh. Did you see Aurora's getting an armory deck?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, they announced it a couple days ago or whatever, and they've only released 1 or 2 cards with it. Seems pretty decent.
Okay.
I was just surprised. I'm like, because I was like, I know sometimes the armory decks are to supplement heroes that are not doing as well recently, and I was like, man, I would not put Allura as one of those decks, but maybe I'm just wrong about that.
Laura, she's the Ice Witch, right?
No, Allura is the Electric Ruined Blade.
Oh.
Aurora, I guess, not Laura. Aurora,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting, actually, then.
Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't call her, the greatest, but I wouldn't call it the worst.
No, I can see how she could use the support, though.
I can think of 3 other heroes that need the support more, I'll be honest.
I there are tons of other heroes that need the support more, but
Specifically, looking at Guardians, I think is more likely. I wouldn't necessarily say like one hero. I would say a class.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, and I think Guardians kind of need some help when it comes to classic constructed. It's like part of the reason why some Guardians, made it to Living Legend is because they were just so broken. Looking at Oldheim and Starvo, it's just like they were just so good. Whereas like you look at like the Guardians now, it's like well, they're not bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just that they're not nearly as powerful. And I think that was probably because when they made Oldheim and Starvo, they were just like, oh, we need these big explosive cards that are just like really powerful and stuff like that. And they go, ooh, we may have went a little too powerful here. So they kind of scaled things back, which I think is probably the correct move.
Yeah.
It's like just like I think with like Part the Misfell, I think all three of those heroes, the Enigma, Nu, and Zen, they realized, wow, we might have went a little too hard with that. That's how it always be in card games, though. You never really know how good it's going to be until it's out there, right?
Yeah.
You can have an idea, but who knows?
They're starting to balance some of this shit, which is it's good. They'll figure this out.
Yeah. If there's one like card maker that I was like, or just like card game that I think will kind of balance things out, or hopefully fix some stuff that I feel like a lot of people I've heard about in recent days complain a lot, is just like is this stuff, because I think that they listen to the players and they understand what they want, and they want the game to grow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If you've never tried Flesh and Blood, please go try it. It's actually really fun.
Yeah.
It's like they have plenty of online portals. You can go on to Felt Table and you can just play it there. It already has like rules and everything in there. So like that, you can just play with all the best cards. You don't even have to pay money. It's great. All right. You want to call it there and make it an early podcast? We can just make it an hour long instead of 2 hours.
I actually do have one more question I have for you.
Oh, you go for it then.
So, to end things off, we did kind of start this podcast wanting to talk about the Switch too. I'd like to know, do you think there are any games that Nintendo is going to really surprise us with? Like, obviously
like
we have...
At launch, you mean?
At launch. Like, when they have this upcoming Direct, and obviously they announce, like, the new Mario Kart, they may announce, like, the new 3D Mario. Like, what else do you think they may come out and, like, show off that people aren't anticipating?
A new Xenoblade.
Really?
That'd be pretty wild. I don't know. My brother was talking about that. It was like, oh, the Xenoblade 2 launched with the was one of the launch titles with the original Switch. So it's just like, I guess it's not unfathomable to think.
Okay.
I think a lot of people would be excited for that. But I don't know. Let's take another do we think that the new Pokemon Legends game will also be on it? I would have to believe so, right?
I mean, obviously that, yeah. Do you think like they're gonna show off more of Metroid Prime 4?
I could see that
It's a
happening.
whole new Metroid game.
I could see that. I could see that. What else?
Do you think they're gonna announce the next Splatoon game?
Yeah, I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility either. I feel like there's another one I'm missing. I just can't think of it at the moment.
Do you think they're gonna announce another Smash Brothers game?
Yeah, I did think about that one, honestly. I was like... here's the thing, is, like, I know it said it has, like, backwards capability, but do you think they're going to do, like, a PS5, like, update? You can, like, pay, certain money to update it to, like, the Switch 2, quality of life stuff and, like, upgraded FPS and stuff like that?
I do think so.
Yeah, I think there's a realistic possibility of that.
I think that's going to be one of the big draws that they're going to have. Like, it's going to play your existing Switch games better. But, I don't know. I hope they have a fairly stacked launch lineup for this Switch 2.
I mean, I feel like that's been the whole holdup to this point, right? Like we've kind of talked about that, but it's like I feel like the reason why they haven't announced the Switch 2 up to this point was because they were like waiting for the games to come with it.
I have noticed like these like Nintendo's game output recently has been fairly light. So for like this is absolutely the time to
Do it.
Do it. Get a new console, a whole bunch of games. This could be Nintendo's whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this could be like where they just go like, okay, let's put all of them. Let's put it all behind that, I guess, instead of like we were like, oh, let's put these out on the Switch or whatever. And then we're like, put Switch 2. And they're like, yeah, you know what? We could do that.
Oh well, that's all I had anyway.
Yeah. That's good though. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
it'll be like a couple months here. I was surprised they announced it. They were just like, oh yeah, just we're doing a Switch, we're doing a direct or whatever for it on. Would have been really funny if they'd gone with April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have. But no, I think they wanted to be like, no, we'll take this a little seriously, you know?
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, I think we can call it there then.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Yeah, so instead of going the normal 2 hours like we recently have been, an hour and a half, 2 hours, we'll just kind of call it early because we don't have a ton to talk about or whatever. Stuff like that. So thank y'all so much for listening to this or watching. One of the two. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast anywhere you're listening to this already. Spotify, primarily one. And then, or YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then any other links that I have below. But
thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thanks all for listening. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.